रुपए का माल आंदा
253 करोड़ एक बंदे दो
एक बंदा
अच्छा साल दा
253 नहीं है तो मिनिमम साडा है बाकियों तो 500 करोड़ लिया साडा तो सब तो घटा गया
क्यों
गल में 20 टेंडर जो भरे सी सब तो छोटे ऐसे ले ले बाकी 200 टेंडर बने उन्हें महंगे मिले लेने पे असी जो टेंडर भरे सी ना कच्ची कॉलोनी तो भरे सी.
And to divert the focus on Liquorgate, Manish Sisodia claimed that a CBI officer pressured to frame him in a false case committed suicide.
कि आप मुझको फंसाना चाहते हैं फर्जी तरीके से फंसा लीजिए. आप मेरे ऊपर रेड कराना चाहते थे आपने रेड करा ली. आप फर्जी FIR करा चुके मेरे ऊपर. आप मुझे अरेस्ट कराना चाहते हैं आप बता दीजिए जहां कहोगे मैं आ जाऊंगा. लेकिन इस तरह से अधिकारियों के ऊपर दबाव बना के उन्हें फांसी लगाने पे उन्हें आत्महत्या करने पे मजबूर मत कीजिए. इससे घर उजड़ रहे हैं.
Debunking Sisodia's claim, the CBI issued a statement that the officer in question who had committed suicide was not connected to the investigation and that no clean chit was given to the accused in the excise policy case.
In a scathing rebuke, CBI has called Manish Sisodia's statements as misleading and mischievous. CBI has now clarified that the officer concerned was not connected to this case in any manner. Not just that, CBI has also made it abundantly clear that no clean chit has been given to any accused in this particular case.
With the opposition turning up the heat against Sisodia, Delhi BJP MLAs are all set to meet President Draupadi Murmu today to demand the dismissal of the AAP government over several issues.
अरविंद केजरीवाल का चेहरा बेनकाब हुआ. ये भ्रष्टाचारियों की सरकार है, बेवड़ी सरकार, कट्टर भ्रष्टाचार.
जब रेड में कुछ नहीं मिला, लॉकर में कुछ नहीं मिला, कोई भी अफसर ये कैसे लिखित में कह देगा कि मनीष सिसोदिया जी को गिरफ्तार होना चाहिए. और इसी वजह से केंद्र सरकार की तरफ से सीबीआई के अफसरों पर बहुत ज्यादा दबाव बनाया जा रहा है कि मनीष सिसोदिया जी को जैसे तैसे हो अरेस्ट करना है.
And while the Aam Aadmi Party BJP face-off takes centre stage in the national capital, it remains to be seen to what length can Arvind Kejriwal go to protect his deputy. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Now, Delhi's Lieutenant Governor Kumar has initiated legal action against the Aam Aadmi Party leaders for making false, fabricated and defamatory allegations of corruption against him in recent days. Here's more.
Delhi's Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena sent a legal notice to Aam Aadmi Party leaders accusing them of levelling false and derogatory allegations against him. The notice was served to Aam Aadmi Party and its leaders Atishi, Durgesh Patak, Saurabh Bhardwaj, Sanjay Singh and Jasmine Shah, among others.
Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena has slapped a legal notice on the Aam Aadmi Party and its leaders Atishi and Sanjay Singh and Saurabh Bhardwaj, among others, for the press conference they carried out in which they alleged that the Delhi LG had indulged in corruption when he was chairman of the Khadi and Village Industries Commission. It was a long tenure of about 6 years, but what is important is that according to Aam Aadmi Party in 2016-17, corruption to the tune of 1400 crores happened. The LG has said that in fact in that financial year the entire turnover of KVIC or the sales were only 2100 crore rupees. So how can there be a corruption of 1400 crores? In fact, so far as the KVIC departmental stores are concerned, the total retail sales were just 99 crore rupees. So there is no question whatsoever of the fantastical figure that the Aam Aadmi Party alleged corruption happened of.
This comes days after the Aam Aadmi Party leaders claimed he was involved in a 1,400 crore rupee scam during his tenure as KVIC chairman. The notice sent to Aam Aadmi Party spokespersons asks the party to refrain from making libelous allegations, demanding apology for the same from the leaders. The notice claimed all this is likely to have an effect on his family members, social circles and people at his workplace.
The Delhi LG has said that all the charges that have been leveled against him are because he has acted in a manner which puts the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi led by Arvind Kejriwal under a scanner and in tight spot, be it the liquor scam, be it the manner in which the schools have been run, and other things. And hence, in the legal notice, the Delhi LG has sought apology from the Aam Aadmi Party and its leaders and said that if they do not tender an apology, then defamation proceedings would be started. He has also communicated the same legal notice to media and social media platforms, telling them that all the charges that have been leveled against him should be removed and cleaned from all their platforms.
And as the legal notice asks for Aam Aadmi Party leaders to comply with the requisitions within 48 hours of its receipt, it needs to be seen how this battle will unfold. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
A look now at what else is making news this morning. All BJP MLAs under the leadership of the opposition leader Ramveer Singh Bidhori will meet President Draupadi Murmu on the 6th of September and submit a memorandum to demand for the dismissal of the Kejriwal government involved in corruption in Delhi. In a tragic event, 4 members of the same family died due to electrocution in the Hailakandi town of Assam. According to sources, these 4 people died in contact with broken electric wire while lying on the ground. A 4-year-old child first came in contact with a live wire, and after coming to rescue the child's mother, father and another member of the family also unfortunately passed away. The body of an 11-year-old student studying in a madrasa was found in Shahchokha, a village of Punhana subdivision of Haryana's Nu. According to the police, the Forensic Science Laboratory Division team reached the location and investigated the incident. The police have registered a case of murder in the incident after the family of the deceased suspected murder. Amid the debate over freebies by political parties, Telangana's Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has announced providing a free power supply to all farmers of the country if a non-BJP government comes to power after the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Karnataka's Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai has said the state government will recruit new teachers to fill in for ones who retire in a year to maintain continuity. Bommai said that the state government has allocated 25,000 crore rupees for the education field, of which 19,000 crore rupees goes towards salaries of teachers and 5,000 crore rupees to the development of new schools. Now, the Supreme Court is scheduled to hear a plea in connection with the amendment of the Constitution of India's cricket body, the BCCI, with the hearing set to focus on tenures of office bearers, with considerations for Sourav Ganguly to continue as president, along with an extension for Jay Shah as secretary.
Once again, is India coming to Amisha.
Just when the dust settled from the Supreme Court closing the AIFF FIFA case, the Apex Court is all set to hear a matter by the BCCI. The Supreme Court will hear a plea of the BCCI, which is seeking to change its constitution regarding the tenure of its office bearers. The plea seeks to remove a cooling-off period of 3 years, which office bearers must serve after holding a post for 2 consecutive terms. The hearing is crucial as the tenure of the Secretary Jay Shah and President Sourav Ganguly is set to expire this month. The current BCCI constitution, with the terms and conditions of its office bearers, are based on the 2018 Justice R.M. Lodha panel recommendations. The hearing comes after a 2nd September plea sought for an emergency hearing by the Supreme Court in the matter. The original plea to remove the cooling-off period has been filed in 2020 by the BCCI. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And days after Raja Singh, in fact, was sent to the Cherapalli jail under the PD Act case, his suspended MLA's wife, Usha Bai, has filed a plea in the Telangana High Court challenging the PD Act invoked by the Hyderabad City Police against Raja Singh. The council has requested for an immediate hearing into the matter as he's a legislator. The High Court has accepted the petition and hearing is expected to take place in the coming days. Usha Bai, the wife of Raja Singh in the petition, has said that it is submitted the present detention order came to be passed only to satisfy a section of people who are not the public at large. Let's go across to Aneri. She's reporting on this. She joins us live from Hyderabad right now. Aneri, give us more details of what his wife has said. In the plea, we understand that this, she basically says that this has been done to satisfy people who are not essentially public at large, but some vested interests.
That's right, Nupur. We have been seeing how there were massive protests which were taking place on the streets of Hyderabad during the time when Raja Singh was not arrested, and later we had seen how the police officials had booked Raja Singh under the PD Act and then he was sent to Cherlapalli jail. But now we see that the wife of Raja Singh, who has been suspended from the Bharatiya Janata Party, his wife has now challenged the PD Act which has been invoked against Raja Singh, and also at the same time she has written a letter in which it states that the arrest of Raja Singh was to just appease this section of society, just the people who are at large, but also at the same time it also sees that it has been over 15 to 20 days that Raja Singh is already sent to Cherlapalli jail and he was booked under PD Act invoked against him by the Hyderabad City Police. Now challenging the PD Act which was invoked, now Raja Singh's wife Usha Bai has challenged this PD Act and written a petition, given a petition in the Telangana High Court. So we are expecting that the petition will be heard soon, and as it is accepted by the Telangana High Court, so we'll have to see how the matter will be going forward in the Telangana High Court. However, we also see that Kashyap was also booked under the PD Act after he had given slogans like Sultan Se Juda and such other derogatory slogans which were given during the protest. So we have been seeing how massive protests which were taking place, and now Raja Singh's wife had challenged the PD Act invoked against Raja Singh by the Hyderabad City Police.
Now, obviously this Preventive Detention Act that's been applied against him, the police's reasoning in this has been that he has about 101 criminal cases that are filed against him, and he's been involved in about 18 communal offences as well. So that essentially is the police's version of events?
That's right, Nupur. We have been seeing how back then there were various cases which were booked against Raja Singh over various events, but now we see that this PD Act was booked under a video which was released by Raja Singh on social media, where he had made few derogatory remarks and comments, after which we had seen how Raja Singh was arrested and then released after he had got a bail, clean sheet from the Nampally court. Not exactly clean sheet, but yes, he had got a bail from Nampally court. But just 2 days after, we had seen how Hyderabad City Police had booked a preventive detention case under various sections, and then he was shifted to Cherlapalli jail, the central prison, and it was on the 25th of August when Raja Singh was sent to Cherlapalli jail, and now it's been almost 20 days now that Raja Singh is still there. But now we see that Raja Singh's wife Usha Bai has challenged this PD Act invoked against Raja Singh. So all eyes on that as well. When the hearing comes up also remains to be seen, as High Court has already accepted the petition.
All right, Aneri reporting on that from Hyderabad. Thank you very much for joining us. Now moving on, Liz Truss has replaced Boris Johnson as the new British Prime Minister and the lead of the Conservative Party. In her speech, she said that her focus would be on taxes, energy and health. In our next report, we tell you about the challenges she faces as she takes over the top job.
It was a fight to the finish as Liz Truss won the race to 10 Downing Street, defeating her rival Rishi Sunak by 20,927 votes.
Liz Truss has trounced Rishi Sunak to claim the job of United Kingdom Prime Minister, beating Sunak with over 20,000 votes in the Electoral College of the Conservative Party. Truss becomes Prime Minister, third only woman Prime Minister of the United Kingdom after Margaret Thatcher and Theresa May. But what is important is that these are difficult times for Europe, particularly on the inflation front. The entire campaign was run around the cost of living crisis, as it is being called in Britain. And Truss, because of that campaign, in her acceptance speech, focused essentially on what she intends to do to tackle with that high energy costs because of the war in Europe between Russia and Ukraine, and the supply chain disruptions across the world post-pandemic have created a more difficult situation for countries in Europe, particularly United Kingdom, which are used to inflation typically in the range of 2 to 4%, but presently it's hovering at 12%. In fact, the reason why Sunak lost, some say, is that to shore up the government revenues, he did not reduce the taxes as much as people would have wanted to. And that's why Truss, while accepting her victory, said that she would be big time cutting on taxes. She said bold tax cuts is how she would approach the government, apart from, of course, focusing on the energy security and making sure that the winter coming up across the world and particularly in Europe does not affect the energy supplies, and at reasonable price for the Britons. And then, of course, she said that she would be taking extra care of the National Health Service. On those planks, essentially, she would be now starting her term or remainder of the term that is left for the Conservative government till 2024.
In her winning speech, Liz Truss thanked Boris Johnson for steering UK out of the Brexit and dealing with the fallout of the Russian invasion in Ukraine.
During this leadership campaign, I campaigned as a Conservative and I will govern as a Conservative. And my friends, we need to show that we will deliver over the next 2 years. I will deliver a bold plan to cut taxes and grow our economy. I will deliver on the energy crisis, dealing with people's energy bills, but also dealing with the long-term issues we have on energy supply.
And with the work cut out for the new Conservative and Unionist party leader, it remains to be seen if Liz Truss will be able to deliver on her bold plan of action and how the people will react. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And to look now at the top international news this morning. European Union's top diplomat Joseph Borrell has warned that weapon stocks in the European Union are running low as member countries continue to send arms and ammunition to Ukraine. He further urged EU nations to better coordinate their spending on military material. Borrell even warned that if member countries keep expanding their military capabilities in the same way, then the result will be a huge waste of money.
The military stocks of the most member states has been, I wouldn't say exhausted, but depleted in a high proportion because we have been providing a lot of capacity to the Ukrainians. It has to be refilled. The best way of refilling is doing that together will be cheaper.
China has denounced the US for its latest arms sale to Taiwan amid mounting tensions between the two countries over the status of the island that China claims to be its own. According to Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning, China firmly rejected and strongly condemned it and will take resolute and strong measures to firmly defend its sovereignty and security interests. She added, but gave no indication of reactions that China would take. Hundreds of Pakistanis have fled from the cities, leaving their flooded homes with their families in a remote southern town in the district of Jafarabad. According to locals, the residents tried to save whatever they could from their flood-ravaged homes and piled into trucks and trailers. You are watching The Morning Express. Still to come on Republic TV. On day 2 of her visit, the Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will be holding bilateral talks with the Prime Minister. And a 6.8 magnitude quake jolts southwest China's Sichuan. Nearly 50,000 people have been relocated.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
Good evening and welcome. Dear viewers, the new sting operation which has been released on Liquorgate by the BJP has seriously complicated the picture for the Aam Aadmi Party and has us all concerned about what is going on within the AAP. It appears quite clearly now that Arvind Kejriwal has made a big mistake by trusting Manish Sisodia blindly. This sting has the father of the accused number 13, Liquor Man Marwa, giving some very elaborate details about the bribes paid, about the commission structure, about how blacklisted companies were given massive liquor contracts, and in one case how one party paid as much as a 60 crore individual bribe. One group, that is one company. It also has details about how this controversial, now scrapped policy of the Kejriwal government guaranteed huge profits for the liquor mafia. And viewers, so on and so forth. All the truth has come out, but most importantly tonight, even Mr. Arvind Kejriwal knows that this is all on tape. All on tape. Which means that there is really nothing to disprove anymore. There is nothing to contest or question back. If the party that is accused in Liquorgate confesses and says yes, together with the Kejriwal government, together with the Delhi government and under the guidance and watch and attention and patronage of the Aam Aadmi Party government,
लहू में उबाल, राष्ट्रवाद की मशाल, भारत का अमृतकाल, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
On day 2 of her visit, Prime Minister of Bangladesh Sheikh Hasina to meet Prime Minister Modi today, likely to hold bilateral talks. Nitish Kumar on meeting spree to forge opposition unity, likely to meet Kejriwal and other opposition leaders today. Aam Aadmi Party versus BJP face-off over Liquorgate intensifies. BJP top leaders to meet President Murmu will demand AAP government's dismissal. Supreme Court to hear BCCI seeking to change its constitution regarding the tenure of its office bearers. Shocking civic apathy kills 4, including a 4-year-old in Assam's Hailakandi. Southwest China's Sichuan experiences deadly earthquake. Nearly 46 reported dead, 50,000 relocated. Welcome to the Morning Express on Republic. I'm Rukma. In our top story, we begin with breaking news coming from down south in Bengaluru. Torrential downpours continue to create havoc in the city. Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai on Monday night said the government has decided to release 300 crore rupees to manage the flood situation in the city. The Chief Minister chaired a meeting with senior ministers and officials in the night to take stock of the rain and flood situation. across Karnataka, especially in capital Bengaluru, and the damages caused as a result. The state government has decided to release 600 crore rupees to manage the rain and flood situation across the state. To restore damaged infrastructure like roads, electric poles and transformers, as well as schools, 300 crore rupees has been allocated for Bengaluru alone, the Chief Minister said in a statement.
ಆದೇಶವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಯಾಗದಂತೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ವ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಕಳೆದ ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳಿನಿಂದ ಇಡೀ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ವಾರ್ ಫುಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಯುದ್ಧೋಪಾಯದಿಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಗಲು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಳೆ ಬಂದಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಇಂಥ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಳೆಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪೂರ್ವ ನಿಯೋಜಿತವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡದ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ, ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಮೊದಲು 8 TMCಗಳನ್ನು ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ವಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ 110 ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳನ್ನು ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ಹಲವಾರು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ನಿವಾರಣೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಉದ್ಯೋಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮಹಾಜನತೆಗೆ ನಾನು ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಈ ಮಳೆಯ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಹಕಾರ ಇರಲಿ. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗೂ ಎದುರಿಸ್ತೇವೆ, ಸರಿಪಡಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಮಳೆ ನಿಂತ ತಕ್ಷಣವೇ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೊರತೆ ಇದೆ.
And joining us now is Nivedna. Nivedna is my colleague Nivedna. Nivedna, a very good morning to you. When we talk about Bengaluru, well, floods have been creating havoc over the years. As soon as there's heavy rain and questions are being raised, there's been an uproar. Now this time, however, it appears that the Chief Minister is likely, the state government is likely to take a number of concrete steps. What are you hearing?
Right, so what we've been seeing in Bengaluru for the past couple of days is flood-like situation. This is also because of the fact that there's poor infrastructure which has been causing waterlogging-like situation. We've seen in those visuals how citizens of the city are suffering as well with, they're finding it, really hard in terms of, coming to terms with the situation, perhaps if that's one way to put it across. But on the other hand, he called for a meeting yesterday, including with officials and taking cognizance of the matter because this is at utmost importance. If you look at those visuals, we could see BMTC buses being stuck. We saw that, even the Kempegowda International Airport was flooded as well. Now, coming to the latest update being that once he called for the meeting, they have said that they're sanctioning 600 crores for the state in terms of combating the situation, but 300 crores alone is being kept for Bengaluru. On the other hand, he has said that 1,500 crores will be kept for storm water drainage systems as well. But the work will only begin once, of course, the rain recedes. On the other hand, he also went on to, appeal to the citizens of Bengaluru, stating that they are going to be combating this issue, but he would like all the citizens of the city to cooperate with them. But he also mentioned that they are taking cognizance of the situation. He also went on to mention a point that in the past couple of years, the infrastructure of Bengaluru has taken a beating because many more areas have come in. We've also seen in the past couple of years how lakes have been encroached, which has caused a lot of issues, which is why the overflowing of lakes have also caused this. In fact, in the outer ring road of Bengaluru, if you have seen, is probably the most affected, where IT companies and banking sectors also had a loss of 225 crores. This issue was also brought and put forth to the Chief Minister of Karnataka, Basvaraj Bommai, which is why, taking stock of all the situation that is happening at the moment, they have come out with this particular announcement that they're releasing 600 crores, but 300 alone will be kept for Bengaluru to kind of combat from this situation, Rukma.
Well, many thanks, Nivedna, for joining us there and for giving us all those details. And now moving on to other news stories. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina arrived in India yesterday for her 4-day trip, in which she will discuss connectivity, energy, as well as food security, among a host of other issues. Here's more.
Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina arrived in India on Monday for a 4-day trip. Hasina, who last visited the country in 2019, received a grand welcome and greeted Indian dignitaries. It is worth mentioning that Hasina travelled to New Delhi at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina visited the much-revered Dargah Nizamuddin Oli on the first day of her 4-day visit to India and offered prayers.
बांग्लादेश की प्राइम मिनिस्टर शेख हसीना होकर गई हैं यहाँ पे ज़ियारत करके बहुत अक़ीदतमंद हैं। हज़रत निज़ामुद्दीन औलिया महबलाई को बहुत मानती हैं, हज़रत गरीब नवाज़ को बहुत मानती हैं और उनके आने की खबर हमें आज से 2 दिन पहले हुई थी और जब उनकी खबर हुई थी तो हम 2 दिन से ही उनके इंतज़ाम में लगे थे।
On the first day of her state visit, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar called on the Bangladesh Prime Minister. Tweeting about her arrival, External Affairs Minister spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said that Bangladesh PM is warmly welcomed by Minister of States, Railways and Textile Darshana Jardosh on her arrival in New Delhi for a state visit. The visit will further strengthen the multifaceted relationship between the two countries. During her stay, Bangladesh PM will also call on President Draupadi Murmu and Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. The overall strategic ties between India and Bangladesh have been on an upswing in the last few years. Hasina will hold wide-ranging talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi today, following which the two sides are likely to unveil a raft of measures to boost cooperation in areas of defence, trade and river water sharing. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna met her Turkish counterpart in Ankara. The ministers discussed bilateral relations and regional security issues, including Russia-Ukraine war. Canadian police searched for 2 men suspected of killing 10 people in a series of stabbings in an indigenous community and a nearby town. A massive manhunt for the perpetrators of one of the deadliest attacks stretched into its 2nd day. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has offered his condolences and assured that the situation will be carefully monitored. Foreign ministers of Morocco and Jordan met in Amman. Morocco showed support to Jordan's role in the Palestinian cause. Jordan too expressed support towards Morocco's territorial integrity and the need to resolve Moroccan Sahara issue. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky congratulates UK Premier Liz Truss while hoping for continued cooperation with Johnson on Monday. He said that Truss has always been the brightest side of European politics. Zelensky said he hoped for objective conclusions from the IAEA on the Russians' targeting of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Germany will continue the shutdown of the last 3 remaining nuclear power plants while keeping the option of reactivating 2 of them. Officials said that the looming energy crisis is one of the primary reasons for this decision. The Portuguese government has announced a set of measures amounting to 2.4 billion euros to cope with inflation. PM Antonio Costa has outlined aid packages to support families, pensioners and other vulnerable groups. The Premier outlined the pandemic and Russia-Ukraine war as the primary reasons behind the rise in inflation. Hundreds of Pakistanis fled their flooded homes with their families in a remote southern town in the Balochistan district of Jafarabad on Monday. More than 1,300 people have been killed and millions have lost their homes in the flooding caused by unusually heavy monsoon rains in the country this year that many experts have blamed on climate change. We bring you this special report.
Devastating floods in Pakistan have caused a havoc in the country. Due to the brunt of the inflation, the South Asian nation is facing its worst food crisis. Skyrocketing prices of vegetables are making food out of reach for people in the flood-ravaged Pakistan. 1/3 of the country submerged, millions affected, devastation, no access to basic facilities. The torrential rains have hit at least 80 areas.
Yes, we are seeing complete devastation. I think it's historic. We have never seen such a situation before in Pakistan, and that is due to the climate change. 33 million people have been affected by these floods, and for Save the Children, it's a huge concern that 16 million children need support, and they have lost everything.
With onions sold at 300 rupees per kilo, potatoes at 400 rupees per kilo, locals of Daru, which has seen the biggest damage to its price and onion production, complain of unaffordability. Worst inflation in 14 years, nearly $10 billion worth food damage, large swathes of farmland flushed away. As per the authorities, inflation in the country could accelerate to 30% in the coming 2 months. Meanwhile, to plug the shortage, Pakistan is purchasing onions and tomatoes from Iran and Afghanistan. With no respite to Pakistan's flood and inflation, with each passing day, public anger on the need for election is surging. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Back home, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is on a meeting spree to forge opposition unity, he says, likely to meet Chief Minister of Delhi Arvind Kejriwal and other opposition leaders today. All the details coming up next here on Morning Express. Stay tuned. Supreme Court to hear BCCI seeking to change its constitution regarding the tenure of its office bearers.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
मुश्किलों को करते नाकाम, जनहित हमारा काम, देश का सम्मान, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Bengal Special Task Force has recovered this huge consignment of arms from this area. There were about 12 pistols and a huge amount of ammunition recovered as well, and all this consignment came from Bihar, Munger. Whether this consignment was all that they had, that is something that STF is trying to understand and investigate after interrogating these two traders who were nabbed.
सच हमने दिखाया, सच आपने देखा, हमारी पहचान उम्मीदों की रेखा, आपके भरोसे से हमारे काम का लेखा, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। आप पहचानते हैं, जानते हैं हमें, तभी तो अपना मानते हैं हमें। आर भारत के साथ भारत का समय, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
प्रॉफिट की गेम 80% होगी, 80% माल दी बेची सानू भी पैसे गवर्नमेंट सीधे सारे साढ़े।
अरविंद केजरीवाल का चेहरा बेनकाब हुआ। ये भ्रष्टाचारियों की सरकार है, बेबड़ी सरकार, कट्टर भ्रष्टाचार।
देश प्रेम का ज्वार, राष्ट्रवादी विचार, रिपब्लिक भारत तैयार, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
पहले ने गलती तेरी बड़ी नहीं की है ना, जिस वक्त ठेके मिलने लगे उस समय जी ब्लैक लिस्ट कंपनी से वो नाम दिए, जब कि एक बोर्ड का ठेका 250 करोड़ छुट्टियां से 150 वाला नहीं होता और क्या था 250 वाला ब्लैक लिस्ट।
किसी फर्जी केस को लीगली साउंड बनाने के लिए एक अधिकारी पर इतना दबाव बनाने पर आ गए ये लोग कि अब बेचारे उस अधिकारी को सुसाइड करना पड़ा, ये बहुत अफसोसजनक है।
देश प्रेम का एहसास, नए भारत का इतिहास, जिसका हर पन्ना है खास, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि।
Welcome back. You're watching the Morning Express, and 3 people lost their lives and at least 10 were left injured after yet another suicide attack in the heart of Kabul, this time near the Russian embassy. No terror group has claimed responsibility for the attack so far. Here's more.
The city of Kabul came to a standstill on Monday after another terror attack in the heart of the city. An explosion was reported outside the Russian embassy in Kabul.
Terror targeted Russia in Kabul on Monday, with a suicide bomber detonating himself outside the Russian embassy gates around 11 a.m. Kabul time. Located in the diplomatic enclave Police District 7 on ironically named Darul Aman Road, the road to peace, the suicide bomber was in fact spotted by security guards and shot at, but before he could be killed, he detonated himself, leading to death of 2 Russian embassy officials.
Minutes later, it was confirmed to be a case of suicide bombing. 3 people were killed in the suicide attack, including 1 civilian. 2 embassy staff were also killed, but the identity of the staff members is yet to be confirmed. At least 10 people were wounded in the attack. Russian media says the blast occurred when a Russian diplomat came out to people waiting outside to call out the names of candidates for a visa. Security was stepped up outside the Russian embassy following the blast.
Неизвестный боевик привел в действие взрывное устройство в непосредственной близости от входа в консульский отдел нашего посольства. Погибли 2 наших товарища. И незамедлительно был предпринят комплекс мер по усилению охраны внешнего периметра. Привлечены дополнительные силы талибских властей.
This is the latest in a series of attacks in the country since the Taliban seized power in Afghanistan. The Islamic State group's local affiliate, ISIS-K, has stepped up attacks against the Taliban and civilians since they overthrew the democratically elected government last year, as US and NATO troops were in the final stages of their withdrawal. However, no terror group has taken responsibility of the blast so far.
What is important is that till late evening, nobody claimed responsibility, but the manner in which it was done, most likely it was the handiwork of Islamic State or the Islamic State in Khorasan province, as ISIS is known in Afghanistan. We have seen a spate of bombings taking place in Afghanistan as Taliban rule completed 1 year last month, and it seems this is part of that. The fact that the Russians have been dealing with Taliban since the time of Doha process, and that perhaps could be the reason why this time Islamic State targeted Russia as well.
Agency report, Republic TV.
On day 2 of her visit, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. All the details and updates here on Republic. Stay with us.
प्रॉफिट की गेम के 80% 80% इक्विपमेंट माल दी हुई सानू भी पैसे गवर्नमेंट सीधे सारे साढ़े।
अरविंद केजरीवाल का चेहरा बेनकाब हुआ। ये भ्रष्टाचारियों की सरकार है, बेवड़ी सरकार, कट्टर भ्रष्टाचार।
देश प्रेम का ज्वार, विचार, राष्ट्रवादी विचार, रिपब्लिक भारत तैयार, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
वाले ने गलती तेरी बड़ी नहीं की है ना, जिस वक्त ठेके मिलने लगे उस समय तेरी ब्लैक लिस्ट कंपनी से वो नाम देखते हैं, जबकि एक बोर्ड का ठेका 250 करोड़ छुट्टियां से 150 वाला देता और कहता 250 वाला इधर ब्लैक लिस्ट करता।
किसी फर्जी केस को लीगली साउंड बनाने के लिए एक अधिकारी पर इतना दबाव बनाने पर आ गए ये लोग कि अब बेचारे उस अधिकारी को सुसाइड करना पड़ा, ये बहुत अफसोसजनक है।
देश प्रेम का एहसास, नए भारत का इतिहास, जिसका हर पन्ना है खास, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Liz Truss, the present Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, is Prime Minister now after an internal Conservative Party election.
After 8 weeks of rigorous campaigning, the result is finally here. The next Prime Minister is Liz Truss after defeating Rishi Sunak by almost 20,000 votes.
विचारों का लहराता समंदर, रिपब्लिक भारत पर जल्द राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। लहू में उबाल, राष्ट्रवाद की मशाल, भारत का अमृतकाल, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
You're watching the Morning Express on Republic, and in news about Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, he arrived in the national capital on Monday, that's yesterday, and he is likely to meet several opposition leaders, including the NCP's Sharad Pawar, AAP's Arvind Kejriwal, CPIM Sitaram Yechuri, Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav, as well as INLD Supremo Om Prakash Chautala. Today, here's more.
Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is on a meeting spree to forge opposition unity in the national capital. On Monday, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar met Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. The two leaders are learned to have discussed the current political situation in the country and ways to ensure opposition unity. Kumar's visit to Delhi comes amidst the buzz within the JDU that he may emerge as the opposition's prime ministerial face in the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. Kumar also met Janata Dal chief H.D. Kumaraswamy at the latter's residence. He was accompanied by Bihar Water Resources Minister and Janata Dal leader Sanjay Kumar Jha. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is scheduled to meet CPIM General Secretary Sitaram and CPI leader D. Raja in Delhi today. He is also likely to meet Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, CPI leaders and former Chief Minister of Haryana and INLD Supremo Om Prakash Chautala. Kumar is making attempts to bring all the opposition parties together as a united force against the BJP for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. He is likely to meet several other opposition leaders, including NCP's Sharad Pawar, Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav. The JDU leader is being talked about in political circles as a key face to take on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Kumar, who snapped ties with Bharatiya Janata Party last month, said his only goal is to work for uniting the opposition to unseat the Saffron Party from power at the centre. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is in India on a 4-day visit, and the stage is set for a ceremonial welcome that we will be going and we will be bringing to you in a short while from now. Those are the visuals from Rashtrapati Bhavan, where it will all happen.
देश प्रेम का ज्वार, राष्ट्रवादी विचार, रिपब्लिक भारत तैयार, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
पहले ने गलती जी बड़ी नहीं की है ना, जिस वक्त ठेके मिलने लगे उस समय जी ब्लैक लिस्ट कमेटी से खत्म दी जब कि एक बोर्ड का ठेका 250 करोड़ छुट्टियां से 150 वाला नहीं होता और क्या था 250 वाला जो ब्लैक लिस्ट
किसी फर्जी केस को लीगली साउंड बनाने के लिए एक अधिकारी पर इतना दबाव बनाने पर आ गए ये लोग कि अब बेचारे उस अधिकारी को सुसाइड करना पड़ा, ये बहुत अफसोसजनक है।
देश प्रेम का एहसास, नए भारत का इतिहास, जिसका हर पन्ना है खास, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Truss, the present Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, is Prime Minister now after an internal Conservative Party election.
After 8 weeks of rigorous campaigning, the result is finally here. The next Prime Minister is Truss after defeating Rishi Sunak by almost 20,000 votes.
विचारों का लहराता समंदर, रिपब्लिक भारत पर जल्द राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। लहू में उबाल, राष्ट्रवाद की मशाल, भारत का अमृतकाल, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। चुनौतियों से नहीं डरते हम, दुनिया ने देखा है हमारा दम, दुश्मनों को करके बेदम, राष्ट्रहित में बढ़ते कदम, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
On day 2 of her visit, the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will be holding bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi. Nitish Kumar is on a meeting spree to forge opposition unity, likely to meet Arvind Kejriwal and other opposition leaders today. The Aam Aadmi Party versus BJP face-off over Liquorgate intensifies. The BJP's top leaders will be meeting. President Murmu will demand the Aam Aadmi Party government's dismissal. Right now, of course, we are cutting across to visuals that we are getting from the Rashtrapati Bhavan. This is the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the Bangladeshi Prime Minister is being given the ceremonial welcome. Do remember that she is on a 4-day visit to India, and on top of that agenda, of course, will be defense cooperation between the two countries. She arrived yesterday in New Delhi, and today, of course, there are a host of meetings that are lined up for the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. On Monday, of course, she visited the Nizamuddin Dargah as well as other places. All right, so pictures on your screen, of course, are of the ceremonial welcome that will be granted to the Bangladeshi Prime Minister as she's on a 4-day visit to India. On your screens, of course, Prime Minister Modi and the Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar at the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan to grant to attend that ceremonial welcome that will be granted to the Prime Minister. Also, of course, there is a series of meetings that is lined up today. Those include dialogues on various issues, including of course, food security, defense cooperation, as well as others. I think Harsha is reporting on this. She joins us live right now. Harsha, give us a sense of the kind of meetings that we are looking at between the two countries today.
Yes, this is a very important meeting between Sheikh Hasina and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and obviously as we are seeing that she's about to reach Rashtrapati Bhavan, where she'll be meeting newly elected President Draupadi Murmu, and we are seeing in the visuals as Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is also there. On a 4-day visit, there will be so many discussions regarding the bilateral ties, regarding trade, connectivity, defense, river water sharing, railway link, and the Agartala-Chitradonga air connectivity link. All these will be discussed widely in her 4-day visit. But let us tell you first of all that Bangladesh and India share a very important bilateral trade. And let me also tell you that Bangladesh and trade between India is the biggest trade partner of India in Southeast Asia. Both the countries share a biggest trade in Southeast Asia. Not only this, the USD bilateral trade between both countries have extended from USD 9 billion to USD 18 billion, which is a very important graphic, 66% growth. And so we can understand how much important is this Sheikh Hasina's tour to the country India. And also we saw in 2021 Prime Minister Narendra Modi also visited Bangladesh when Bangladesh was celebrating 50 years of its creation, and we also saw the celebration which happened in Delhi and Dhaka as well. So this time, after Bangladesh has touched 50 years in 2021, this is the visit of Sheikh Hasina. And between both the prime ministers, if we talk about from 2015 to till now, the prime minister of both the countries have met 12 times. So this is a very important meeting which will happen today. She's on a 4-day visit. Yesterday she met External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. And after meeting S. Jaishankar, she also visited Nizamuddin Aulia Dargah as well. It is a very big tourist attraction in Delhi. And today her meeting with newly elected President Draupadi Murmu, the president of the country, is also being seen very important. And in the visuals, we are seeing that she's about to reach President House, Rashtrapati Bhavan, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also there. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is also there. So this is a very important meeting which is going to take place between Bangladesh Prime Minister and between the big leaders of the country, because between them there will be so much discussion to talk about. Yes, back to the studio.
All right, of course, as Harsha is pointing out, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh being accorded the ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. That's top leaders of the Indian government over there. Prime Minister Modi, of course. We also saw Dr. S. Jaishankar earlier. He's there in the frame right now as well, waiting for the Prime Minister of Bangladesh to arrive at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. She will be given the ceremonial welcome over here. And the two countries, India and Bangladesh, are likely to unveil a raft of measures to boost cooperation in areas of defense, trade and river water sharing during Sheikh Hasina's 4-day trip to India. Now, the two sides, of course, are expected to ink several agreements, including the one on interim sharing of the Kushiara river water following talks between the two sides. We are, of course, learning that there are a host of meetings that are already lined up for today. She will, of course, first be meeting the President and the Vice President. There you can see the Prime Minister going forward to, I guess, welcome Sheikh Hasina as she makes her way to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. That is the ceremonial welcome that is accorded to a visiting head of state.
तमाम ऐसे नीतिगत फैसले हैं जो यहाँ पर लिए जाने हैं। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं और उनका स्वागत करते हुए यहाँ पर नजर आ रहे हैं। ये सीधी तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। काफी महत्वपूर्ण ये पूरा दौरा बांग्लादेश की प्रधानमंत्री शेख हसीना का है।
बांग्लादेश की प्रधानमंत्री शेख हसीना का पारंपरिक स्वागत 4 दिवसीय दौरे पर बेहद महत्वपूर्ण ये दौरा बांग्लादेश भारत की नेबरहुड फर्स्ट पॉलिसी के तहत एक अहम साझेदार है और इसी के तहत दोनों देशों के बीच सहयोग, सुरक्षा, व्यापार, बिजली, ऊर्जा, परिवहन, कनेक्टिविटी, विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी, रक्षा, नदी, समुद्री मामलों सहित सभी क्षेत्रों में साझेदारी है और इस दौरे के तहत भी ये साझेदारी बढ़ेगी। प्रधानमंत्री शेख हसीना को दिया जा रहा गार्ड ऑफ ऑनर। उन्हें रस्मी स्वागत राष्ट्रपति भवन में। उनका 4 दिवसीय दौरा बेहद महत्वपूर्ण। इससे पहले प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी से उनकी मुलाकात हुई। प्रधानमंत्री मौजूद हैं।
तो बांग्लादेश की प्रधानमंत्री शेख हसीना, अब आप देख सकते हैं उनको गार्ड ऑफ ऑनर से सम्मानित किया गया और उसके बाद अब वो मुलाकात करती हुई जो केंद्रीय मंत्री हैं उनसे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी की अगुवाई में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने भव्य तरीके से इनका स्वागत किया और उसके बाद अब वार्तालाप का जो दौर है वो जारी है और ऐसे में अब सबसे उनकी मुलाकात, उनकी ये शिष्टाचार भेंट करवाई जा रही है। और आपको बता दें तमाम बड़ी और महत्वपूर्ण यहाँ पर जो पहल है उसको एक अमली जामा पहनाने के लिए, एक नई नीतियों के तहत आने वाले समय के लिए और मजबूत इन संबंधों को करने के लिए तमाम यहाँ पर जो नीतिगत फैसले हैं वो यहाँ पर लिए जाएंगे और ये दौरा काफी महत्वपूर्ण हो जाता है। आज आपको बता दें कि प्रधानमंत्री शेख हसीना का जो मुलाकात का सिलसिला है वो राष्ट्रपति के साथ भी है और उसके बाद उपराष्ट्रपति से भी वो मुलाकात करेंगी और ऐसे में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के साथ द्विपक्षीय वार्ता का भी उनका पूरा कार्यक्रम है और तमाम नीतिगत जो फैसले हैं वो लिए जाने हैं और ऐसे में तमाम जो अहम मुद्दे हैं उन पर बातचीत का दौर भी जारी रहेगा। शेख हसीना की ये यात्रा इस दौरान भारत और बांग्लादेश के बीच साझा नदियों के जल बंटवारे, बिजली और ऊर्जा सहयोग, सीमा प्रबंधन और रक्षा, रेलवे और विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी के क्षेत्र में सहयोग पर केंद्रित कई समझौतों और MOU पर साइन होने की भी संभावना है। तो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण ये पूरा दौरा इनका होने वाला है और इस दौरे को लेकर तमाम तैयारियां साफ तौर पर नजर आ रही हैं।
India is our girlfriend, so whenever I come to India, it's a big pleasure for us, for me especially. India has done during our Operation War, so we have friendly relationship and we are cooperating with each other. So our main focus is to develop our people's condition, poverty alleviation, economic emancipation. So with all these issues, I feel that our two countries, we can work together so that people, not only India, Bangladesh, and also the South Asian people, they can get better life. That is our main focus. So every visit I feel that when we discuss, we're very, I hope that it will be very fruitful discussion and our main aim to develop economically and also fulfill the basic needs of our people that we will be able to do. With friendship, you can solve any problem. So we always do that. So हम हमेशा आभारी हूँ भारत के और कि हमारा देश जब स्वाधीनता किया, जब लिबरेशन वॉर हुआ तो यहाँ के लोगों ने जैसा हमारा साथ थे, सपोर्ट की और बहुत लोग उनका जितना कंट्रीब्यूशन है हम हमेशा इसको स्वागत करती हूँ एंड हम रियली आभारी हूँ। सो मेरे ओर से भारतवासी को हमारा शुभेच्छा, स्वागतम। আমি একটু চেষ্টা করলাম হিন্দিতে বলতে, 6 বছর ছিলাম এখানে, একটু একটু শিখেছি, তো সেখান থেকে একটু বললাম যে আমার তরফ থেকে আমি ভারতবাসীকে আবার শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি, শুভকামনা জানাচ্ছি। আর সেই সাথে সাথে 71 সালে ভারতবাসী যেভাবে আমাদের পাশে দাঁড়িয়েছিল এবং সব ক্ষেত্রে আমরা তাদের সহযোগিতা পেয়েছি, সেজন্য সবাইকে আন্তরিক ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি বাংলাদেশের পক্ষ থেকে, বাংলাদেশের জনগণের পক্ষ থেকে, আমার পক্ষ থেকে, আমার পরিবারের পক্ষ থেকে সবাইকে অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ। শুভেচ্ছা।
तो बांग्लादेश की प्रधानमंत्री शेख हसीना, जिन्होंने कहा कि काफ़ी खुश हैं वो यहाँ आकर और भारत की हमेशा आभारी रहेंगी जिस तरह से भारत का योगदान रहा है बांग्लादेश के निर्माण में और लगातार जो विकास यात्रा रही है दोनों देशों के पारंपरिक संबंधों में, दोस्ताना संबंधों में। उन्होंने कहा कि भारत आना सदैव अच्छा होता है और काफ़ी खुश दिखी। आज उनका पारंपरिक स्वागत किया गया, रस्मी स्वागत किया गया राष्ट्रपति भवन में। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी स्वयं उनके साथ मौजूद हैं और ये दृश्य आप देख रहे हैं। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के साथ बातचीत करती हुई बांग्लादेश की प्रधानमंत्री 4 दिवसीय भारत दौरे पर हैं और बेहद उम्मीदों भरा ये दौरा कहा जा सकता है। उन्होंने कहा, बांग्लादेश की प्रधानमंत्री ने जब बातचीत की तो उन्होंने कहा कि जो मुख्य फोकस है वो रहने वाला है किस तरह से गरीबी उन्मूलन किया जाए, किस तरह से जो आर्थिक स्थिति है उसको बढ़ाया जाए और किस तरह से जो व्यापारिक साझेदारी है वो लगातार बढ़ रही है वो उसे किस तरह से और आगे बढ़ाया जाए। तो दोस्ताना संबंधों में कई महत्वपूर्ण विषय ऐसे हैं जिन पर इस बार भी चर्चा होगी और उनमें विस्तार की संभावना पूरी है। गौरव,
बिल्कुल, और ये नजर भी आ रहा है जिस तरह से औपचारिक उनका स्वागत किया गया। ऐसे में वो काफ़ी खुश नजर आ रही थी जब वो अपनी बातें रख रही थी। रक्षा सहयोग को और बढ़ावा मिलेगा इस बात की भी उम्मीद उन्होंने जताई है और साथ ही साथ अर्थव्यवस्था में जिस तरह की मजबूती की बात उन्होंने कही है क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं भारत के साथ जो आपसी सहयोग है वो निरंतर और बढ़ेगा और जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के साथ द्विपक्षीय वार्ता होगी तो उसके बाद कहीं ना कहीं ये संबंध और मजबूत होते नजर आएंगे।
और इस दौरे की पल पल की खबर हम आपको लगातार दिखाते रहेंगे, लेकिन फिलहाल वक्त हो चला है आपसे विदा लेने का। नया सवेरा में फिलहाल इतना ही, दीजिए इजाजत। नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
Well, that, of course, was the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina being granted the ceremonial welcome by the Indian Prime Minister. The cabinet also over there. Now, the Bangladeshi Prime Minister, of course, has a host of meetings lined up today. She will be meeting President Murmu as well as the Vice President. After that, there are a series of delegation level talks that take place between the two sides. Now, the issues that will be discussed between the two sides, of course, include bilateral cooperation on river water sharing as well as defense ties. And here's a look at what else is making news this morning. All BJP MLAs under the leadership of the leader of the opposition Ramveer Singh Bidhuri will meet President Draupadi Murmu today and submit a memorandum to ask for the dismissal of Arvind Kejriwal's government, which they say is involved in corruption. In a tragic event, 4 members of the same family died due to electrocution in the Hailakandi town of Assam. According to sources, these 4 people died in contact with broken electric wires. While lying on the ground, a 4-year-old child first came in contact with a live wire. After coming to rescue the child, the mother, the father and another family member also passed away. The body of an 11-year-old student studying in a madrasa has been found in Shah Choka village of Punhana subdivision of Haryana's Nu. According to the police, the Forensic Science Laboratory Division team reached the location and investigated the incident. The police have registered a case of murder in the incident after the family of the deceased suspected murder. Amid the debate over freebies by political parties, Telangana's Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has announced that free power will be supplied to all farmers of the country if a non-BJP government comes to power after the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Karnataka's Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai has said that the state government will recruit new teachers to fill in for the ones who retire in a year to maintain continuity. Bommai has said that the state government has allocated 25,000 crore rupees for the education field, in which 19,000 crore rupees will be allocated towards the salary of teachers and 5,000 crore rupees to the development of schools. And news just coming in. A young woman has died to negligence of Bescom, the BBMP. The girl was electrocuted and passed away from electrocution. Now, the incident took place in Siddhapur under the Whitefield police station. Siddhapur is situated between Marthahalli and Varthurkodi road. Akhila, who was 23 years old, lost her life last night around 9:30 in the evening. This, of course, is something that this death is being blamed on negligence. The cause of the young woman's death was a live wire that was hanging. So 23-year-old losing her life to rains in Bengaluru. Civic apathy at display over here. We're going to try and go across to our correspondents on the ground to give us more details of what happened. But Akhila, just 23 years old, lost her life at around 9:30 p.m. She was electrocuted and passed away, unfortunately. The incident took place in Siddhapur under the Whitefield police station. Now, Siddhapur is located between Marthahalli and Varthurkodi route. She was just 23. She was coming home from work when this incident took place. Nivedana is reporting on this. She joins us right now. Nivedana, this is as tragic as it gets. This is civic apathy and at display in Bengaluru, with this young woman unfortunately losing her life.
Absolutely, Nupur. Now, we've been seeing in the past couple of days what Bengaluru has been witnessing in terms of waterlogging situation. Now, this very situation has cost a life, and the BBMP, the civic body of Bengaluru, that is the Brihat Bengaluru Mahanagar Palike, and the BESCOM is being blamed for this cause of negligence, which has cost her life. Now, Akhila, what we understand, who was 23 years old, was returning back from work when this incident took place. Now, she was riding a two-wheeler, and there was a flood-like situation, and she was trying to avoid a pothole, is what we're learning, and by doing so she slipped and she fell on an electrocuted wire, which caused her death. Now, locals did try to rush her to the hospital, but she was declared dead. On the other hand, of course, there is a lot of reactions coming in from citizens that a negligence from these two particular bodies, that is the Brihat Bengaluru Mahanagar Palike and the BESCOM, has resulted in this death of a 23-year-old.
Oh yes, absolutely, Nivedana. And you know, the kind of pictures that are coming out of Bengaluru are continuing to shock people across the country, because the waterlogging situation, the traffic snarls that have been there since day before yesterday when there were unexpected rains, just shows how the city's infrastructure is completely worked on.
Exactly. The infrastructure of Bengaluru has absolutely been in shambles for the past couple of years. You know, they should have taken stock of this particular situation, because this is not the first time that Bengaluru has witnessed such rains. But what can be focused upon is the fact that the Brihat Bengaluru Mahanagar Palike on one hand is not prepared for such situations, because even Karnataka Chief Minister Bommai has said that in the past few years they have seen encroachment of lakes and also overflowing of these particular lakes, which have caused flood-like situations. But this particular incident where Akhila has lost her life is you know, clearly an indication that the Bengaluru BBMP and the BESCOM has to step up to ensure that you know, lives are not being lost when they are not at fault. That is the bigger question as to, you know, this particular situation, what are they doing to ensure it? Of course, the Chief Minister has now stated that they have allotted 600 crores for the state to combat this particular issue, and 300 has been allotted just for Bengaluru to ensure that the infrastructure is improved. Right. But is it, you know, ultimately the bigger question is, what are they doing to save lives
oh yes, absolutely,
in such negligent acts?
Absolutely, Nivedana. Those are questions that civic authorities in Bengaluru will have to answer. For the moment, thank you for joining us. Nivedana, of course, is bringing to us the latest on what took place in Bengaluru, an extremely unfortunate incident. You are watching Republic TV. We slip into a very short break. On the other side, we bring you more news, including Nitish Kumar on a meeting spree to forge opposition unity, likely to meet Arvind Kejriwal and other opposition leaders today. And the Supreme Court is to hear the BCCI's plea seeking to change its constitution regarding the tenure of its office bearers.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
Good evening and welcome. Dear viewers, the new sting operation which has been released on Liquorgate by the BJP has seriously complicated the picture for the Aam Aadmi Party and has us all concerned about what is going on within the AAP. It appears quite clearly now that Arvind Kejriwal has made a big mistake by trusting Manish Sisodia blindly. This sting has the father of the accused number 13, Liquor Man Marwa, giving some very elaborate details about the bribes paid, about the commission structure, about how blacklisted companies were given massive liquor contracts, and in one case how one party paid as much as a 60 crore individual bribe. One group, that is one company. It also has details about how this controversial, now scrapped policy of the Kejriwal government guaranteed huge profits for the liquor mafia. And viewers, so on and so forth. All the truth has come out, but most importantly tonight, even Mr. Arvind Kejriwal knows that this is all on tape. All on tape. Which means that there is really nothing to disprove anymore. There is nothing to contest or question back. If the party that is accused in Liquorgate confesses and says yes, together with the Kejriwal government, together with the Delhi government and under the guidance and watch and attention and
देश प्रेम का एहसास, नए भारत का इतिहास, जिसका हर पन्ना है खास, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina gets a royal welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan. On a 4-day visit to India, Sheikh Hasina to meet Prime Minister Modi, defence ties and water sharing issue tops the agenda. Sheikh Hasina ties with India, says grateful for India-Bangladesh friendship. Civic apathy kills 23-year-old in Bengaluru, family alleges negligence. In national capital, Nitish Kumar on meeting spree to forge opposition unity, likely to meet Kejriwal and other opposition today. We have big news coming in. ED Director Sanjay Kumar Mishra's tenure extension. The central government has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court. It said that these petitions are not maintainable. We're also understanding that the petitions challenging the extension of tenure are politically motivated. Now, the petitioners belong to political parties whose leaders are presently under the scanner of ED. Now, big news coming in is that in the affidavit, the centre said that the petitioners Jaya Thakur, Saket Gokhale, Randeep Singh, Surjewala and Mawa Moitra either belong to the Congress party or the Trinamool Congress, whose top leaders are being probed by the ED. Now, this is the big news that is coming in, that ED Director Sanjay Kumar Mishra's tenure, we're talking about that particular case where the central government has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court. Now, it also said that these petitions are not maintainable. The petitions challenging the extension of the tenure are said to be politically motivated. On the other hand, in the affidavit, the centre said that the petitioners, that is Jaya Thakur, Saket Gokhale, Randeep Singh Surjewala and Mawa Moitra, either belong to the Congress party or the Trinamool Congress, whose top leaders are being probed by the ED. What we're also learning so far in this big news coming in is that the petitions challenging the extension of tenure are politically motivated. On the other hand, the central government has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court. Now, ED Director Sanjay Kumar Mishra's tenure, the extension case that we're talking about, the centre says the petition has not been maintainable. Now, in the affidavit, it also said that the petitioners Jaya Thakur, Saket Gokhale, Randeep Singh Surjewala and Mahua Moitra either belong to the Congress party or the Trinamool Congress, whose top leaders are being probed by the ED. This is the latest that we have so far in that particular affidavit copy that we are seeing in those visuals on the screen right now. The centre has also said that the petitions are looking like it's politically motivated. The central government has filed for this affidavit and also stated that the petition has not been maintainable. In fact, it focuses on the particular petitioners, that is Jaya Thakur, Saket Gokhale, Randeep Singh Surjewala and Mahua Moitra, either belong to the Congress party or the Trinamool Congress, whose top leaders are being probed by the Enforcement Directorate. Okay, this is the latest that we have so far about this, where in terms of the fact that the affidavit has been filed by the central government. On the other hand, it is being stated that by this particular, we're talking about the ED Director Sanjay Mishra's tenure case here, extension case rather, where the petitions challenging the extension of the tenure are politically motivated is what has been observed. Now, in regard to this, the central government has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court. Now, it is also observed and stated that the petitioners belong to political parties whose leaders are presently under the scanner of ED. Now, if we focus on the particular affidavit, the centre has stated clearly the petitioners like Jaya Thakur, whose top leaders are being probed by the ED. For more information on this, we're joined in by Rhythm. Rhythm, what we understand currently is that the central government has filed this affidavit. Rhythm is joining us on the phone line. Rhythm, what are we understanding so far? What are the reactions about this? If you could, tell our viewers about the same.
Let's tell our viewers, the central government files an affidavit in the top court of the country where they take on all the people for this particular petition that has been filed, calling it politically motivated. While doing so, the central government gives us massive reasons as to why the tenure has been increased of the director. This particular plea, they say, is filed by malicious parties because there is an ongoing investigation that is continuing against the Congress party. So in very clear terms, not mincing words, in the Supreme Court, they are now stating that this particular case and that in this particular case there is this affidavit filed because then Congress is getting a complete investigation by the ED. Congress is being investigated by the ED. Not only the Congress party, others also here have been mentioned, and this clearly is very crucial because as we get to the exclusive copy, I want to
not maintainable. They challenge the extension of the tenure. They are politically motivated. While stating so, the central government is giving great details in the top courtroom as to why this has been filed. Names of Congress leaders have been taken in this affidavit where they say petitioners such as Jaya Thakur, Saket Gokhale of the TMC, Randeep Surjewala of the Congress and Mahua Moitra either belong to the Congress party or the Trinamool Congress party, whose top leaders are being probed by ED. Viewers, a petition has been filed in the Supreme Court which is trying to challenge the tenure extension of the ED director, that is SC Mishra. In a very strongly worded, emphatic affidavit in the top court, the central government clarifies and clears its stand. It is not they, but a committee that goes ahead and gives the extension to the ED director. They also go on in this 57-page affidavit to give great details about how money laundering, corruption needs to be eradicated, which is a top priority for the central government. Since that is a top priority, they say it is desirable that the heads of the CBI and the
ED are in power for a longer period of time so that they're able to reach some conclusions. What I find most interesting, and I'm going to first go back to our viewers to take them through this particular passage, is on page 2, where they say this particular petition has been filed on behest of the National Congress Party. They are being investigated by the ED. They are competent to approach. If the Congress Party has an issue with the investigation that is being carried out by the Enforcement Directorate, they have a right to go ahead and approach a competent court for statutory relief. However, this petition is therefore filed for a personal interest and it's politically motivated. They then on page 3 give out details of all the other people who are continuing to be under the scanner of the ED, which includes Jaya Thakur, Saket Gokhale, Randeep Surjewala and Mahua Moitra. They say that it is submitted, that the investigation is ongoing on behalf of all of them, and therefore it is manifest political interest in which this petition is filed before the top court. It is camouflaged as a PIL, but in fact it is mentioning important leaders and trying to get relief for important leaders. So a very critical point that is being made in this. So reason one that they've given is that this petition is filed by the Jaya Thakur, who is the General Secretary of the Madhya Pradesh Mahila Congress Committee. It's being filed on behalf of her political masters. That's the first reason they've given, stating that this petition is motivated. A PIL, remember earlier viewers, had been filed in the top court of the country. This PIL that was filed in the Supreme Court earlier was stating that and challenging the extension of the tenure of the ED director. The second point they've mentioned is many of these leaders are being questioned by the ED. They are being investigated by the ED, and therefore this petition is politically motivated. The third reason they've given, and I've just concised 4 points that have been there in this affidavit in the top court, is number one, the top priority of the central government, it says, is to eradicate corruption and money laundering. They also say it's well known that black money and international financial crime and its links with drugs, terrorism and other criminal offences poses a serious threat to the national security. They say, keeping in mind that, it is important that the ED and the CBI heads would have longer tenures. They also say, and this is in regards to the ED Director SC Mishra, continuity of leadership in the ED is of extreme importance on the purpose of India receiving a positive outcome in the mutual evaluation of India by the Financial Action Task Force 2022-23. Lastly, they say it is to be remembered, it is not the central government that is going ahead and having the discretion to appoint the ED Director, to extend the tenure of the ED Director. It is actually done by the selection committee that is empowered to consider the extension of the ED Director. They have to give reasons in writing, and therefore there is no compromise on the independence of the ED Director at the hands of the central government. Very, very crucial 57-page document, affidavit in the top court of the country that clarifies the stand of the central government and gives out great details as to this PIL that's been filed at the behest of the Congress Party, they say, only to ensure that the investigation that is being done by the ED does not reach its conclusion. They've clearly given out grounds to show that this needs to be done, and this affidavit will be taken up along with the hearing in the Supreme Court when it comes up next.
All right, that was Rhythm joining us with all the latest details on terms of Sanjay Kumar Mishra's tenure extension top case in the top court, where the central government has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court. Moving on to some big news coming in. What we're understanding is that ED searches are over 30 locations in Delhi excise policy case. The residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia not included in searches. Now the searches are underway in Delhi, Gurgaon, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Mumbai and Bengaluru. 10 ED teams on the ground. This is the big breakthrough that is coming in. We're understanding so far that ED searches are at over 30 locations in the Delhi excise policy case. But on the other hand, residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is not been included in these searches. However, searches in Delhi, Gurugram, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Mumbai and Bengaluru are currently underway. This is in terms of the liquor gate case where ED mega raids are in NCR. For more information on this, we're joined in by Shravan. Shravan, this is a big breakthrough that is coming in, but we also understand that the residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is not included in these searches.
Well, Nivedana, at this point in time, preliminary information really coming in from the Enforcement Directorate. All that we can confirm right now that the searches are basically underway. What I'm picking up is that currently the focus of the Enforcement Directorate is primarily the liquor companies. If you just simply go by the predicate offence, which happens to be the CBI's case, because based on the CBI's FIR, the Enforcement Directorate has also now stepped in which if you see there are 15 people who have been named as an accused. What is important to point out here is that some of the liquor companies and private individuals have been under the scanner of the Central Bureau of Investigation. What I'm picking up from my sources is that the searches today is pertaining to those very companies, the companies which had participated in the tendering process, and more importantly, the companies which had got the licenses from the Delhi government. As of now, what we are picking up is that Mahadev Liquor being one of the companies which is under the scanner of the Enforcement Directorate, their branches in other parts of the country, there too we are being told that the searches are being carried out. As of now, the locations that we are being told is not just in Delhi but in other cities also where these locations are being carried out.
Shravan, we also understand that the reserve force is also on the ground. What other details do we have on this so far?
Well, as far as the details that we do know at this point in time is that the Enforcement Directorate, remember, though they do not have, unlike the Central Bureau of Investigation, they do not exactly have a preliminary inquiry process. But what we do know is that since there's already a predicate offence which has been cut out in this particular case with the CBI registering the FIR, the Enforcement Directorate basically takes up the FIR and also registers an ECIR, which is an FIR equivalent. And at this point in time, what we do know is that these searches are basically being carried out. It's a pan-India search is what we are picking up at this stage. Roughly about 30 locations is what we are being told, but the number could certainly vary given the fact that the searches began just about around 7:30 this morning is what we are picking up at this stage. But the point here is that very little details really coming in from the agency at this point in time. Perhaps a little bit more clarity would come in a little later in the day, given the fact that the teams are already. They've already begun the searches. There are certain reserve forces. What we can also tell our viewers that roughly about 10 teams is what I'm picking up. 10 teams is from the national capital itself who are carrying out these searches.
All right. Thank you, Shravan, for getting us all that information. The latest so far is what we're understanding is that the ED has searched at over 30 locations in the Delhi excise policy case, and the searches are ongoing in 10 locations, including Delhi, Gurugram, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Mumbai and Bengaluru. This is regarding the ED searches that are over 30 locations in the Delhi excise policy case. Now, Shravan Sen also giving us those details about the latest. Even on our screens, we can see the visuals of the ED raids, the exclusive visuals that we have right here on Republic. Now, we also understand that residents of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is not included in the searches, but in places like Delhi, Gurugram, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Mumbai and Bengaluru is where the searches are currently underway. We will continue to track this story.
You're watching Republic TV and we'll be right back with you after a short break. But after a break, we'll give you all the updates regarding ED searches, which is getting in 30 locations in Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Gurugram and Bengaluru. And we'll give you all updates regarding these ED searches, which right now doesn't include Deputy CM Manish Sisodia's house. Stay tuned with us. We'll be right back after a short break.
चुनौतियों से नहीं डरते हम, दुनिया ने देखा है हमारा दम, दुश्मनों को करके बेदम, राष्ट्र हित में बढ़ते कदम, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Bengal Special Task Force has recovered this huge consignment of arms from this area. There were about 12 pistols and a huge amount of ammunition recovered as well, and all this consignment came from Bihar, Munger. Whether this consignment was all that they had, that is something that STF is trying to understand and investigate after interrogating these two traders who were nabbed.
सच हमने दिखाया, सच आपने देखा, हमारी पहचान उम्मीदों की रेखा, आपके भरोसे से हमारे काम का लेखा, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। आप पहचानते हैं, जानते हैं हमें, तभी तो अपना मानते हैं हमें। आर भारत के साथ भारत का समय, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
प्रॉफिट की गेम 80% माल ਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪੈਸੇ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਾਡੇ।
अरविंद केजरीवाल का चेहरा बेनकाब हुआ। ये भ्रष्टाचारियों की सरकार है, बेवड़ी सरकार, कट्टर भ्रष्टाचार।
देश प्रेम का ज्वार, राष्ट्रवादी विचार, रिपब्लिक भारत तैयार, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
पहले ने गलती जी बड़ी नहीं थी ना, जिस वक्त ठेके मिलने लगे उस समय जी ब्लैक लिस्ट कंपनी से नाम दिए, जब ये एक बोर्ड का ठेका 250 करोड़ छुट्टिया से 150 वाला देता और क्या था 250 वाला जब ब्लैक लिस्ट।
किसी फर्जी केस को लीगली साउंड बनाने के लिए एक अधिकारी पर इतना दबाव बनाने पर आ गए ये लोग कि अब बेचारे उस अधिकारी को सुसाइड करना पड़ा। ये बहुत अफसोसजनक है।
देश प्रेम का एहसास, नए भारत का इतिहास।
Now, the latest on the Enforcement Directorate searching at over 30 locations in the Delhi excise policy case is that the ED is now focusing on companies that were given the licenses. Now, that is the latest on this particular development, where in the liquor gate, what we understand so far is that the ED is searching at over 30 locations in the Delhi excise policy case. In fact, searches are on in Delhi, Gurugram, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Mumbai and Bengaluru is what we understand. But on the other hand, the latest being is that the ED is now focusing on companies that were given these licenses. Now 10 ED teams are on the ground. If we actually look at those visuals as well, this is the exclusive first visuals of those ED raids across multiple cities including Delhi, Gurugram, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Mumbai and Bengaluru in connection with the liquor gate scandal. Now for more on this, we're joined in by Harsha. Harsha, we understand now that the ED is focusing on companies that were given the licenses, but what else have we gathered so far on this?
Exactly, we are getting to know that ED is conducting searches for searches on all those links who have participated in New Delhi excise policy. We are getting to know that all those liquor tycoons, be it from Delhi, be it from Hyderabad, Bengaluru, Mumbai and different places, and linked to all those people who participated in New Delhi excise policy. The ED search is being conducted in different locations, and we are getting to know there are almost 30 locations which are being raided by ED, and after something concrete ED will find from all these locations. We are getting to know, and it is to believe that after that ED will conduct searches at the residence of Deputy CM Manish Sisodia as well. But right now till the time ED has also gone through all the reports of CBI as well. The entire complaint which was registered by CBI, ED has gone through of all those accused as well. What were the links, how the events were given, how the corruption happened in this New Delhi excise policy, how much bribe was given, how much profit was involved, how many liquor tycoons were involved, liquor mafias were involved, and how corruption was done. And after studying all those complaints from CBI file, ED has now conducted raids at different locations. Almost total 30 locations are being raided by ED officials, and after that it is expected that Delhi's Deputy CM Manish Sisodia's residence could be raided also. But right now Manish Sisodia has left from his residence. We are outside his residence. We tried asking him regarding ED searches as well, but he completely ignored our question, stating nothing. He left from his residence for an event. We are expecting that when he comes back, he will give us some reply, some answer answer on the searches, because continuously when being asked about the sting operation of Kulvinder Singh Marwa, the father of FIR number 13 accused Sunny Marwa, yesterday Manish Sisodia, Deputy CM, responded nothing. He clearly stated that this sting is baseless and Aam Aadmi Party doesn't believe in such sort of a sting. They clearly denied such a sting and they had nothing to answer in this sting. So now Aam Aadmi Party has to reply on all these things when they are taken completely off guard. They were not expecting that such a sting could come in New Delhi excise policy, giving all the details in that sting operation, how the bribe was taken, how one company has given 253 crore for entire year for the vent, what is the basis of getting the vents in the posh colony like Defcol and in the slum area like Kotla, Mubarakpur. So these are the things which we are getting to know. ED is right now conducting raids at 30 locations, but right now not at the residence of Deputy CM Manish Sisodia. Back to the studio.
The liquor gate is continuing to explode with every passing day as Enforcement Directorate also now continues to make its investigation in raiding all the 30 locations including Delhi and Gurugram. For all the updates and keeping you updated of all the political slugfest between Delhi, BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, stay tuned to Republic Media Network.
सच हमने दिखाया, सच आपने देखा, हमारी पहचान उम्मीदों की रेखा, आपके भरोसे से हमारे काम का लेखा, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। आप पहचानते हैं, जानते हैं हमें, तभी तो अपना मानते हैं हमें। आर भारत के साथ भारत का समय, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
प्रॉफिट की गेम 80% 80% माल दी वो सानू भी पैसे गवर्नमेंट सीधा सारे साढ़े।
अरविंद केजरीवाल का चेहरा बेनकाब हुआ। ये भ्रष्टाचारियों की सरकार है, बेवड़ी सरकार, कट्टर भ्रष्टाचार।
देश प्रेम का ज्वार, राष्ट्रवादी विचार, रिपब्लिक भारत तैयार, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
पहले ने गलती जी बड़ी नहीं की है ना, जिस वक्त ठेके मिलने लगे उस समय जी ब्लैक लिस्ट कंपनी से नाम दिए, जब ये एक बोर्ड का ठेका 250 करोड़ छुट्टिया से 150 वाला देता और कहता 250 वाला ब्लैक लिस्ट।
किसी फर्जी केस को लीगली साउंड बनाने के लिए एक अधिकारी पर इतना दबाव बनाने पर आ गए ये लोग कि अब बेचारे उस अधिकारी को सुसाइड करना पड़ा, ये बहुत अफसोसजनक है।
देश प्रेम का एहसास, नए भारत का इतिहास, जिसका हर पन्ना है खास, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Truss, the present Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, is Prime Minister now after an internal Conservative Party election.
After 8 weeks of rigorous campaigning, the result is finally here. The next Prime Minister is Liz Truss after defeating Rishi Sunak by almost 20,000 votes.
विचारों का लहराता समंदर, रिपब्लिक भारत पर जल्द राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। लहू में उबाल, राष्ट्रवाद की मशाल, भारत का अब
The big breakthrough coming in the Liquorgate scandal. Searches are being carried out at 35 locations. We have both Harsha and Piyush Ori tracking this particular story for us. But I'll come over to you, Piyush. What is the latest that we understand so far in this?
As far as the Liquorgate is concerned, is not ending. After the Central Bureau of Investigation, conducted raids, now it is a time for Enforcement Directorate to conduct raids in several locations that include Delhi, NCR, Bengaluru and Mumbai. Now, the most important thing in this raid is that Now, the most important thing in this case is that, it is not only Manish Sisodia who is involved, but also 14 other accused, who are primarily involved. And this time, the emphasis of the Enforcement Directorate is to, make sure that all the other 14 accused who are involved in this case, they are held accountable. And, they
are held accountable, and, their role in this entire liquor scam is being investigated. So for making sure, all this, this thing, we are going to make you sure that all the updates in this liquor gate is going to be, updated to all our viewers. Stay tuned to Republic Media as we continue to bring you all the updates in this entire liquor gate. Stay tuned.
ने गलती जी मीटिंग नहीं की है ना, जिस वक्त ठेके मिलने लगे उस समय जी ब्लैक लिस्ट कंपनी से नाम देते हैं, जबकि एक बोर्ड का ठेका 250 करोड़ छुट्टियां से 150 वाला नहीं देता और कहता 250 वाला जो ब्लैक लिस्ट।
किसी फर्जी केस को लीगली साउंड बनाने के लिए एक अधिकारी पर इतना दबाव बनाने पर आ गए ये लोग कि अब बेचारे उस अधिकारी को सुसाइड करना पड़ा, ये बहुत अफसोसजनक है।
देश प्रेम का एहसास, नए भारत का इतिहास, जिसका हर पन्ना है खास, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Truss, the present Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, is Prime Minister now after an internal Conservative Party election.
After 8 weeks of rigorous campaigning, the result is finally here. The next Prime Minister is Truss after defeating Rishi Sunak by almost 20,000 votes.
विचारों का लहराता समंदर, रिपब्लिक भारत पर जल्द राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
लहू में उबाल, राष्ट्रवाद की मशाल, भारत का अमृतकाल, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
सोच का मंथन, विचारों का समागम, इतिहास लिखेंगे हम, राष्ट्रीय सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
राष्ट्रवादी कलम, राष्ट्रवादी हम, मजबूत होते भारत के कदम, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन। उन्नति का पथ, उम्मीदों का रथ, सत्य की शपथ, हम हैं रिपब्लिक भारत, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
मुश्किलों को करते नाकाम, जनहित हमारा काम, देश का सम्मान, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
Bengal Special Task Force has recovered this huge consignment of arms from this area. There were about 12 pistols and a huge amount of ammunition recovered as well. And all this consignment came from Bihar, Munger. Whether this consignment was all that they had, that is something that STF is trying to understand and investigate after interrogating these.
ED raids at 35 locations being carried out across the country. It is a mega ED crackdown. Several liquor companies are now under the scanner. Big lead in the BJP leader Praveen Nitharu's murder case. NIA raids 32 locations. On a 4-day visit to India, Sheikh Hasina is to meet the Prime Minister. Defence ties and water sharing issues top the agenda. And civic apathy kills a 23-year-old girl in Bengaluru. Family alleges negligence. Good morning. You're watching Live and Breaking on Republic TV. I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. Straight across to news that's just coming in from the national capital. We are learning that searches are being carried out in about 35 locations. These locations are in Delhi, Gurugram, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Mumbai and Bengaluru. The ED is carrying out these searches at these locations in connection with the liquor scam. So searches being carried out at about 35 locations. Now we're given to understand that these are people who could have benefited from the liquor scam. Their residences and offices are being raided by the Enforcement Directorate. I'm going to try and go across to our correspondents on the ground to give us more details on this, but for now what we know is that the ED is focusing on companies that were giving licenses by the Delhi government. So 35 locations under the scanner of the Enforcement Directorate. Harsha joining us for more on this. Harsha, give us more details about where these raids are being carried. We're given to understand most of them are related to companies which were actually given licenses.
Exactly, Nupur. We are getting to know that there are several places in Delhi, NCR, Bengaluru, Hyderabad and Mumbai as well where these raids are being conducted by Enforcement Directorate. Also, we are getting to know that when CBI registered a formal complaint against Manish Sisodia and all those who were involved in the corruption in New Delhi excise policy, ED went through all the complaint files which CBI had registered, and in those all the accused were mentioned, how the bribe was taken, how the corruption happened. ED took almost a time of span of more than 2 weeks to 3 weeks to study all those files, and now ED has started conducting raids at all those locations. We are getting to know there are various places in Delhi's posh location like Defence Colony and the residence of Anand Tiwari as well, where Enforcement Directors is conducting raids right now. We are getting to there are more than 35 locations where the raids are being conducted right now, where outside the residence of Deputy CM Manish Sisodia, who has just left from his residence, but responding us not at all regarding the ED raids or searches at his residence, where he clearly ignored our question regarding the ED search if it will happen at his residence. Now all those people are the accused who have been named in the FIR by CBI. And not only this, the middlemen, the broker who were involved in this New Delhi excise policy, who were benefited, who were given the vents, neglecting all the rules and regulations of the excise policy. And how come the violations were made in the New Delhi excise policy to benefit and give undue favors to all these liquor tycoons, which were from Mumbai also, from Hyderabad also, from Bengaluru and different places also, not only from Delhi. And those who participated and were being benefited by this New Delhi excise policy, those houses are being raided, the corporate houses are being raided, their offices are being raided by Enforcement Directorate. As if we have to believe that is something concrete, Enforcement Director will find from these all locations, the files, the documentation, the technical evidences, the cyber evidences, if something which Enforcement Director will find, and after that it is to be believed that ED could conduct searches and raids at the residence of Manish Sisodia as well. But right now these raids become very much important, because we saw how first in this entire case CBI conducted raid, and after that what all happened in this entire investigation. So now ED has completely taken over the case and now conducting raids at locations of all those people who are linked and named in the FIR by CBI. Back to you.
Right, let's also bring in Piyush Ohri right now. Piyush, obviously the ED is trying to connect the dots in terms of the money trail. We're also now getting some information that raids are being conducted at the Jorbagh premises of Samir Mahendru of Indo Spirits. Now, he was, of course, earlier questioned by the CBI in this particular case.
So good morning, Nupur, and you rightly pointed out that yes, the Enforcement Directorate after the Central Bureau of Investigation is now trying to connect the dots and trying to find how all these liquor barons who got the licenses are associated in this liquor scam. And you rightly pointed out that among the 35 locations that are being raided by the Enforcement Directorate as of now, one of the locations is the posh locality at 27 Jorbagh residence, which belongs to Samir Mahendru, who is the proprietor and who is the owner of Indo Spirits. Now it is the same location where we also went and tried to find out about what his link was in this entire liquor gate was concerned. That time, however, we were told that he was not there at his residence, or we were not being given to speak to him. But now it seems that after Enforcement Directorate and Central Bureau of Investigation have widened their investigation gambit and now trying to get all these associates, all these liquor barons, role linked in this liquor scam. We are going to get some hard evidences. We are going to get some major evidences of how all these liquor barons, who are, among the accused in this liquor scam, they are going to be, how is their role going to be, based in this entire liquor scam, which has now into a big political scam. The Aam Aadmi Party, in its own, defense, are saying that, there is nothing which the Central Bureau of Investigation has found. There is nothing which the, Enforcement Directorate is going to find. But as I said, the investigation of this entire liquor scam is not only restricted to Manish Sisodia, but there are also 13 other accused who are also involved. And now it becomes very important that as Enforcement Directorate is raiding all these 35 locations, how the role of these entire 14 accused is going to be based, how these how the role of these 14 accused is going to be established. So yes, very interesting developments ahead. Back to you in the studio.
Oh yes, absolutely. Piyush, now, the CBI in its FIR has mentioned the fact that Mahindra in fact had paid some bribes to someone who was close to Manish Sisodia. Harsha, of course, was tracking Manish Sisodia right now. He didn't really speak to Republic TV when he was leaving his residence. So give us more details, if I could come to you on this one, Piyush, about the allegations that are there against him in the FIR of the CBI.
You rightly said again that not only Sameer Mahindra but other accused like Amit Arora have been accused, or they have been alleged that they had very good links with the bureaucrats of the Delhi who formulated this liquor policy, and through the bureaucrats they are also able to get in good touch with several AAP leaders, which also include Manish Sisodia. Now it is going to be very important now for the investigating agencies to establish their link, for which the raids are going on. But yes, the role of Sameer Mahindra has been emphasized very emphatically by the FIR, by the Central Bureau of Investigation, in which it has been said that Sameer Mahindra was in direct contact with several top bureaucrats of Delhi which formulated this liquor policy. He was in links with several top AAP leaders also who were involved and who knew about this entire liquor policy. So his role is being investigated quite extensively by the investigating agencies. At a time now which his residences is being raided by the Enforcement Directorate after CBI questioned him. Now it is going to be again very interesting to see that what kind of facts the investigating agencies is going to present to us in the public domain, which is going to further establish about what his actual link was in this entire liquor gate scam. Back in the studio.
All right, stay with us, Piyush, as well. I'm going to go across right now to Harsha. Harsha, we were also being told that the Aam Aadmi Party will be addressing the media in a while, but when you tried to speak to Manish Sisodia, he did not really want to answer questions that were put up by Republic TV. Now, give us a sense of, that press conference that will be held at about 12 o'clock. That's what we are hearing.
No, but one thing is very clear that since yesterday till now, since the time BJP literally showed the sting operation of Kulwinder Singh Marwa, which was shown by BJP, and clearly when they stated that how this entire bribe and corruption happened, this new Delhi excise policy, from that time to till now, Aam Aadmi Party has skipping the question regarding the sting. When asked about Sunny Marwa, when asked about Kulwinder Singh Marwa, how come father is telling everything about the bribe and corruption which has happened in this new Delhi excise policy, the continuous sequence of lines, how the money was given to the Delhi Deputy CM, how money went to him, and not even that, how profit was made, how they were, how only by putting 20 paisa they are earning the profit of 80%. All these things were clearly said in the string, and when since yesterday till now, till the time we have been asking Manish Sisodia continuously about the corruption which has been made, they have been skipping this question. And Nupur, we have got to know that Aam Aadmi Party has internally decided that they will pick up the different different way to answer BJP, and they are not going to respond on the Singh operation or on Kulvinder Singh Marwa or on the accused number 13 in FIR, Sunny Marwa. We are getting to know that the press conference which is going to happen at 12 o'clock, it will be regarding SG VK Saxena. It can happen on CBI ACB with Jitendra Kumar issue, which Manish Sisodia also raised yesterday. But they are trying to skip this question. They were completely taken aback and off guard. Yesterday, they were not expecting BJP to come up with such a sting. And yesterday also we saw a press conference were done by Manish Sisodia, Atishi and Saurabh Bharadwaj, but they skipped the question on sting. They didn't reply anything when asked about the bribe, the corruption, the sting operation in which how bribes were being made, how the vents were being given in posh colony and slum area, and how corruption was made. They completely skipped such questions. They ignored, and it is clearly now that Manish Sisodia has to respond, because at the head of the excise department, he is responsible somewhere, because the accused father is clearly taking his name. So Nupur, these are the entire things which are going on this ED raids, and now the fresh things are going to happen when ED has started conducting raids, and we are expecting that ED will also sooner conduct raid at the residence of Manish Sisodia as well, Nupur.
Right, stay with us, Harsha. Stay with us. Piyush, if I could come to you now. Piyush, obviously these developments of the EDs conducting raids across 35 locations come just the day after the sting operation of the BJP. We are also learning at the moment that there is a large presence of security forces at various locations. Can you update us on that?
So, you rightly pointed out that there is a large presence of security forces also, because, when there is a lot of money involved and when there's a big money involved, the CBI as well as the Enforcement Directorate want to make sure that, they get, enough time to raid these locations. And mind you, it is also a very precarious position for all these officials, because, they have to gather huge evidences before, they
I'm going to have to interrupt you there. I'm going to come back to you in just a bit, Piyush. Let me go across to Shavan Sen, who's reporting on this. Shavan, the big news story that's coming out right now, of course, is the Jorbagh premises that is being raided. This, of course, is in connection with Indo Spirits and its CEO.
Well, in fact, Nupur, I'm just coming right now with a little bit more details for our viewers. Just that a while back, only preliminary information was coming in, primarily because the searches had only started around 7:30 this morning. Perhaps we can also reflect this on our grids with regards to the latest information now coming in. First information that we can confirm is that 35 plus locations where these searches are being carried out right now. These are pan-India searches that are being carried out. The primary focus of the Enforcement Directorate right now is on the liquor companies. These companies, which are based not only out of the national capital, but we are also being told that they have got branches in other cities, for instance, in Chandigarh, in Chennai, and also in Telangana is what we are being told, where these searches are being carried out. There is a large focus of these very companies in terms of their operations in down south, where we are now being told whether at all the profit that they were actually making, was it being diverted in other states, is something that they are looking at this stage. Let's now put this into perspective. What is it? How is it very different from the investigation that has been carried out so far by the Central Bureau of Investigation? Remember, in the CBI's investigation, the focus was primarily into the criminal conspiracy. The fact is that when the liquor policy was drafted, formulated, whether at all there were people who were close to or associates of, alleged associates of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, their involvement was there or not. As far as the Enforcement Directorate is concerned, they are largely interested in the windfall profits that these companies were making. Now, how exactly were they making these profits? If you're really looking at the margin was about 80-20. This 80-20 margin that you're basically looking at, 80% of the profit really goes to the companies, and 20% of it is what the government would have actually got. But the fact of the matter is that whether at all the government